You shouldn't be, like, learning that, once you get into marriage,
Yeah.
basically. I wanted you to talk about, like, forsaking others when it means to the divine order of how, like, mm, knowing that you're now basically forming a new household with your spouses. So prior, you're used to living with your family
Mhm.
and how that looks like with forsaking others and being mindful of now taking up that new role in the divine order.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I would say that traditionally, that was a really good thing to say. Really good question. Love it. Traditionally, in olden times, ancient times, what'll happen is like biblical days, let's say Old Testament. When a man and a wife got married, the parents would draw up a agreement. The husband would go and build a house, build a place, and then abruptly he would come and get his wife, and there would be a party. Then that's why it says that Jesus will come out a thief and a knife is because in the night because you're supposed to be his bride. So like out of nowhere, he's going to come back for you, and that's when the party's going to take place, the wedding banquet, and then he's going to take you home to the new home he's built for you. That's why he says he's building a house for us. So that's him saying, like that tradition, I'm coming back for you when you least expect it. The reason that's important is because the husband is. I'm trying to remember what you was just saying. Was it?
What I was saying before, what I wanted you to touch on,
Yeah.
basically how we're taking up new roles by being a new family
Okay. Okay.
together, basically, yeah.
Yeah, good. Good. Okay. So the reason why that's important is because when you leave that house that you were in at your parents' house, because traditionally they would be waiting at the parents' house until the husband came back whenever he finished everything he needed to do. When you leave that house, your parents have no authority over you no more. Your father, he is not the go-to anymore. That's why you have the bride being handed off to the husband. And that's why the name changes is because legally it's saying every child is supposed to be born under their father's name. And what happens is when you give them off in marriage, they're supposed to, the wife, the daughter, she's supposed to take on her husband's name because now she's a part of a new family. She has a new head over her. So the reason that's important is because now your go-to, your default is the husband. So even if somebody like, say a father has a problem with his daughter, he need to go to the husband. Like I can see if he talked to his daughter, yes, this, that, and a third. But like, let's say he kind of like trying to tell his daughter what to do. He needs to go to the husband, or she's going to default to her husband. That's how it's supposed to work. He's head now. You don't just exclude him out of his headship. You don't just take back his authority when you passed over the daughter. So with that, or it's loud. With that, that's spiritual warfare out there. That's like in every other scenario situation that can possibly come up. If anybody is trying to separate the relationship, the marriage, before you're even married, because you're already one in the spirit usually before you get married in the flesh. Like things happen in the spirit first. So when it comes to you not operating as one, let's say like your family and my family, they want to do separate things. Like, hey, for your birthday, I want to take you to the movies. And for your family said like, hey, for your birthday, we want to fly you to Florida, whatever the case is. I want to take you to the movies. Now, in some way, we got to get on the same page. It's not that like we got to do whatever the husband says first, but the husband got to be consulted about these things because he's the new head. And it's not that the woman can't do whatever she wants to, it's that the husband has to be defaulted to for a reason. Because what if the husband is saying, we can't afford to take that trip right now because we're trying to, you know, we're trying to get a house or whatever the case. The woman could say, oh, I want to go on that trip, whatever. It's my birthday. But it's like, that's getting us out of assignment for our true purpose right now. That's why the husband has to be taken into account for everything that's done. Or if God gives the husband direction that don't leave the state this month, I'm finna bless you, and they trying to take you out the state, that's spiritual warfare. Because at that point, they're actually being used to do the assignment of the devil. Is to separate you. And not to say that, oh, the husband could come too. The husband was told not to leave. So if he leave, he doubly responsible unto God because he took his wife and he knew he wasn't supposed to go. But if he allowed his wife to leave, he's still doubly responsible to God because I told you not to leave and y'all supposed to be acting as one. So why you let her leave? So this is why the husband has to be brought in as like the decision maker. And he always is supposed to consult his wife, involve her decision, involve whatever God says first, because God words matter to the husband more because he's leading the husband. So the wife has to listen to the husband because the husband is listening to Christ. That's why it works. It's not that the husband get to tell the wife whatever he want to do and he got to get to say. Is that he the one hearing direction from Christ.
Mhm.
Like that's a big thing when you come into a marriage, when you come into agreement with somebody else. Jesus, the Lord, our Savior, is no longer going to give a woman direction. You know why that is? Is because he's no longer technically, he's no longer your husband in this way. Because God is going to fulfill a husbandly role for all of us as the bride of Christ. But what happens is when two become one, you're one bride now. So let me simplify it. When two people get married to Christ, you look like one new person. And with that one new person is to marry Christ. I hope that makes sense. Because that is the case, the woman is not like a lady in waiting anymore. She's not waiting to become one. Because when you're still like unmarried to a man, you have to hear directly from Christ because he's taking on the role of what you would have a husband do at that point. So I would say it's a little bit confusing. We have to try to break it down as much as possible because it's like I'm saying, you know, Christ is not playing your husband role. What I'm saying is the woman is going to be submitted to Christ no matter what. That's the easiest thing about it. The woman's going to be submitted to Christ no matter what. When you don't have a husband, he's going to tell you he's going to lead you himself because you don't have a man in front to lead you. So he's taking the responsibility of leading you upon himself. But when he gives you a physical man, that man is now responsible on leading you. And he no longer needs to direct you himself because he will direct the man, and the man is responsible for leading you. Hope that makes sense. I think it does. And I think it does make sense. So yeah, a lot to edit. But I think that's why it has to be a forsake of all others because people can unknowingly be used by the Satan, knowingly be going against what God said for the direction he gave the husband. That's why as a woman, you need to take on your husband's last name. It's symbolic of you saying no matter what, he's gonna lead me correctly. You don't need to be still trying to lead yourself because Christ no longer giving you direction. You're not single no more. You're not a lady in waiting. You're a bride. You're one now. You're one person now. So at that point, you have to default to your husband. Because if you don't default to your husband, you don't default to Christ.
That's good.
Hmm.
I was just thinking of like, what's it called? Wait, hold on.
Hmm. It's okay.
Maybe it comes to me. But basically the other half of it was truly being like a three braided cord, like not letting outside people within the marriage because that leads to the foundation crumbling because you're already trying to continue practicing operating in oneness, basically
Hmm.
getting used to that new role. So I was thinking about that movie that we watched before, like Not Easily Broken.
Hmm.
And even like I think people in the world experience it like in laws, honestly, like how hard that could be. And not just that, saying in-laws are an issue, but it goes to show why you shouldn't have other parties within your marriage and truly understanding that you're now in a different role. So that's why you're clinging to your spouse.
True. You're in a different role. You're not as accessible as you were before. You made a change in the spirit. And the reason why that's important is because the husband is going to tell you what Christ has been telling him on what y'all need to do.
Hmm.
So if Christ is talking to the husband, who talking to you? Who telling you to do these directions and leading you? Because you're not your own woman anymore. You're not, you know, you're his bride as one now. Both of y'all together are his bride, but you no longer need to know what's going to happen first. You need to be submitted no matter what. And that means like you got to be concerned with asking your husband, how has Christ told us to be? What do we need to do? What is our direction? And the husband needs to be submitted with loving you and caring for you and submitting to Christ, all his concerns of his wife, and making sure to be careful to deal with your feelings and try to involve you in all these things and not try to like leave you out and just telling you you're gonna do what I say. That's why it's important to pick the right person. Christ to
Yeah.
pick the right person, not you.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting. Because again, it's not just, like, in-laws, but anyone who's not in your marriage, that's a third party.
Hmm.
So it doesn't matter how long you knew that person. It could be a friend, it could be anybody.
And they might have to lead. They might be jealous of your marriage. They may not, you may be leading them into temptation because they're tired of waiting. And now it's time for that friendship to die because you're a new person now. It be like that. That's what forsaking all others means. Cutting off anybody who's outside of the marriage, just like anybody who does not fit in a relationship with Christ, the new creation that you were, you had to cut them off. It's part two now with the marriage. Been a lot of chatting, a lot of chit chatting. Uh, we a little hungry. So I think we should go ahead and finish with our last part, which is giving a piece of understanding for our
Counterfeit testimony?
counterfeit testimonies. I think really I can go first, but I really want people to really hear yours because I think women are majority looking for marriage. I know guys is, but so I'm gonna talk about it too because I got something to say. But I really want them to understand how yours went for testimony wise and everything that was going on.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll start. For me, I had a counterfeit. Basically, while I was waiting for marriage, I had started becoming abstinent. I ended up finding this person who I thought God had spoke to me and said, like, "Oh, this is your spouse." Mind you, I knew her beforehand. I knew her from what, high school, I guess. And I just thought like, oh, I got out of this bad relationship. Now it's time for me to be submitted. And I said, I'm not gonna go to her first. I'm gonna wait till God said that I can. And I was looking at her page. I was trying to, you know, see what was going on in her life. And I thought I got to go ahead from God. So I ended up messaging this person. I'm like, yo, long time no speak. I hadn't talked to him for like 4 or 5 years. And I had been like abstinent. I had been seeking God probably about like a year into my walk or maybe a year and a half into my walk. And, you know, I said, yo, let me hit this person up because I thought I got the right things from God. I thought I was hearing like audibly from the Lord that I can speak to her. So I reached out to her and we reconnect. We chopping it up. She's like, oh my gosh, so glad to hear from you. It's been a long time. I'm like, all right, this going good. Bro, I kid you not. We talked for um probably like 7 hours that first day, just messaging back and forth and like DMing basically, just every now and again DMing. So I'm like, oh, this is going good. I hit him up the next day. Oh, she busy. I hit up the next day. Oh, she busy. I hit up the next day. She busy. I'm like, what's going on? I thought this was my spouse. And it basically ended up where uh, after a week of me trying to like be in contact with this person, whatever the case was, they just was so busy. And I just was like getting distracted from my work, whatever the case is. And I had to come to the conclusion, yo, this person don't like me. I'm not gonna hold you. I was like, I don't know what it is, but they seem so ready. Like, I'm like, am I weird? No, I'm not weird because like they were definitely giving me all the signs on the first day. So I'm like, all right, bet. The next day, I see they like they post on their story, they doing all this, and we're chatting a bit. Like it's just like every time she hit me back, it's hours in between, and she's just so busy or whatever the case was. And I just was like, bro, this is doing more damage to me. Like she had the quotes in her bios. She said she was reading her Bible. She was posting Bible verses every day. She seemed like she was doing like with Pilates and stuff like that. She seemed fit. She seemed like she had a job going on, all these things. I was like, all right, bet. This is somebody who looks like they're submitted to Christ. And the whole time it was a counterfeit. Like this person just looked like they was playing a part. And it's not just because they didn't end up being my wife that I'm saying this. It's just when I peeled back my desire, they really had no fruit. Like that first day when I looked back at the conversation, they were saying that I was telling them a whole lot of stuff they didn't have any knowledge of. And I was trying to seek this person for marriage, which shows you like we were unequally yoked. They were not ready for marriage. It's just they looked good on the surface. They could talk a good game, but when it came to like actually trying to dive deep into spiritual understanding, they had none. They just fit a fancy that I had in my mind, and I was so ready for marriage. Was abstinent. I thought, all right, we gonna get it on. Like I'm not gonna hold you. When I finally ended up meeting my true wife, Tatiana, that's a story for another time. But it was a complete difference. But I can't hold you that counterfeits had similar, what is it called? Similar
Characteristics?
characteristics, somewhat, but like forward facing qualities. That's what I would say. Like on the surface, it seemed very similar to what you actually are. But when we dig deeper, they don't have any substance.
Mm,
So for all my feral Christian men, you need to chill, bro, because like they talk a good game, they look a good game, but like she still was listening to Future Drake. She was going on dates with guys, trying to still message me. Like ain't no female going to no football, basketball games by herself. Like, come on, bro. Like we was supposed to link up. She was, when people like post the videos of like the photos of them like being at a restaurant and like they showing two plates, but they only showing their hand. Like, all right, man. Like I just had to write in my journal like, oh, a girl can straight up miss her blessing, thinking that thinking that I'm out of catch. And I was like, Lord, I'm not gonna try to choose anybody on my own. I'm gonna just wait until you truly bring my wife along. And that's why I left for that. After that, I gave up that chase.
mm. Okay, I'm gonna see where to start for mine. I think I'm gonna make it short. Trying to think. Okay. Basically, I'm gonna start off with the dream that I had. Basically, I thought God gave me a dream of who my kingdom spouse was. And I think it's pretty common. You kind of go on YouTube, you kind of listen to a lot of testimonies, and I feel like a lot you encounter, they had a dream. They had a dream, and
Martin Luther King.
no, for real. But I already knew God speaks to me through dreams. So I'm like, I just kept it in mind, like, okay, God can give a dream to whoever's spouse, whatever. Um, and when did this happen? Okay, so yeah, I kept that in mind that this could happen, but fast forward a lot of time later, I ended up having a dream. And at this point, I wasn't looking for a spouse because I was not ready for that, basically. I had other things going on. I was working on my assignment. I'm still on that assignment. So what I wanted to do was complete the assignment. I did not want to find my kingdom spouse until I was done with it. So I say it to say that the enemy is crafty. The enemy can play the long game in order to get you to believe and settle with your counterfeit, basically.
Mhm.
So after having that dream, I was like, okay, this must have came from God because I was not thinking about that person. Like, when you have like a pizza dream, like you can just tell, okay, this is a pizza dream. And then you have other dreams like, okay, this has spiritual meaning and this is not for me because it's not a pizza dream. Like I didn't like think about this person at all. So I just thought it came from God because I'm like, I would not have chose this for myself. So it all started like that. And since then I was like, okay, I'm gonna start preparing because Um, I guess the reason why I thought it came from God was, again, I wouldn't pick that for myself. Well, so I was gonna say something else. Trying to think. I forgot what I was gonna say, girl. Well, anywho, I ended up preparing, and I ended up preparing for a year, and then fast forward, I met Demonte. So that's when we ended up talking.
Hold on, before you
Hmm?
go there, I want to emphasis on what you were doing. Like you already had this dream for a
I
year before.
Yeah.
Did you actually, like, talk to the guy? Did you pursue him? What
Oh, yeah. No. But I wouldn't say I hit him up. I would say he hit me up, so I would respond. But I never really engaged that I thought that he was my kingdom spouse because I had the mindset like, the guy's supposed to lead, so he would speak freely and then we'll go from there.
Mhm,
And then I'll reveal my revelation because you don't want to rob someone of revelation and you don't want to manipulate someone with revelation you think you have
mhm,
or you have received. So I never really said anything. Okay, now fast forward. So the most I was doing for preparation was I was like praying, cooking, all that good stuff,
mhm,
and working on myself, finishing my assignment. Okay, so fast forward. Now I met you,
mhm.
and I didn't think anything of it. We were just speaking as like friends. And then when it got to a point like, oh, I kind of like this person, then I started to pray, and then I just became uncertain of who really was my spouse.
And that was, like, what? I met you,
A year later,
we didn't even, like, talk, like, for real, like, at all?
I think I had the dream in 2023. We met. Was it
20
2024?
I think so,
2024.
24, yeah, 24.
Mm-hmm.
So, for 24 all the way to 20, like, for over a year, we didn't really speak for real, like, it was kinda like, at times, we might, you know, be in Bible study together and say, like, maybe a couple sentences to each other, but, like, we didn't really have full-on interactions where we was, like, thinking of each other, looking at each other, whatever the case was, kinda like, uh I wouldn't say we went unnoticed, but like she said, my goal after I had got played, I guess you could say, by that counterfeit, I was just like, I wasn't butthurt. I was more so like, I got work to do. Like, I ain't got the time to be kind of focused on that anyway. So let me just relax and let God bring the wife to me. So that's what I did. So when it came around time for me meeting her, I was like, I'm locked in. I got work to do. Shorty, like, I'll meet her when I'm on the come up or whatever the case was. I ain't got the time right now. So I just was not focused on it for real. So for over a year, me and her didn't talk. Anything like relationally or anything like that. It was kind of more so we just were
Mm-hmm.
acquaintances for the most part.
Yeah. The whole reason we ended up talking was because we are both on a similar assignment.
Hmm.
That's why we said it's so important to have like the same ministry.
Hmm.
Um, what's it called? So after that happened, okay, so the next thing I ended up doing was going into prayer about it and just staying in a place of prayer. And whenever I would pray about who my spouse was, the person who I thought was my spouse would text me at the same time. So this person would always text me sporadically. Like it literally happened every time I prayed for clarity, which would frustrate me because I'm like, I don't get it. And I said to say like just because it seems like that could be your God-given spouse doesn't mean it is. So again, submission is key because the enemy could be pulling things behind the scenes as well, wanting you to fall for it. And even when I thought this was my kingdom spouse, those sporadic times when that person would engage with me, like texting, I guess, I was able to see that they didn't really have fruit. But those are like little signs that I kind of overlooked. Like I was just like, okay, because at that point I thought I wasn't meant to judge people, or you kind of felt like me to judge people,
And he
but
was
we're meant to judge righteously.
and he was in Christ. He looked
Oh yeah,
seemed Christian. He was like you said, he had what he
he
had
was serving,
yeah.
someone who served, someone who seemed like nice, but then there was like little holes behind the scenes.
Hmm.
It was like, oh,
Yeah. So your counterfeit wasn't somebody who was in the world. Your counterfeit was somebody who was in the body. So
who was supposed, I guess, to be in the body.
I mean, even still though, it's just like somebody can have all the physical trappings or all the
Mm-hmm.
physical like attainments, and they still ain't it, even if they in the body.
Yeah. Yep, yep, yep. So I would say what I learned is submission is key, and just because you feel like your desire is not getting in the way. Like for the counterfeit, I feel like I didn't really have a desire for that person. So that's why I thought the Lord chose that person for me. So you don't want to be like on both sides of the spectrum, basically. Like really having a strong desire that you're not able to discern clearly if that's your spouse or if that's just your desire, or if on the other side of the spectrum, not really having any emotional attachment to that person at all and kind of being like a servant
Mm,
essentially, like, and believing that's what God would have for you, like not serving or being with someone with a willing heart, basically.
that's just religious.
Yeah, so that's what I had to learn because I'm like, nah.
Mhm.
I was like, my emotions were not in it at all. So I was like, no, no, this had to come from God.
And I think that's, pretty much also with me, like, I was led to her. Like, God told me about her. Actually, I was having dreams about her before I ever even knew her. So even when I met her, it wasn't even reopened back up to my memory that I had a dream about her. Like, probably like I had a dream about her about 4 years before I knew her. Uh, Tatiana. Think they know I'm talking about you. But
I don't know.
I had a dream about Tatiana 4 years before I met her, but the dream was kinda, like, locked away from my memory, and even when I met her, I still wasn't acting on that dream, and it was only after she was being re-brought up to me by God that I realized, "Oh, her?" And I was like, "Wait a minute, hold on, this is the girl from the dream." So I had already seen her, but I completely it was completely held away from me till that this was gonna be my wife.
Yeah, and to be with you was like more resistance.
Yeah.
It was resistance from a lot of people,
Mhm.
basically. And then when it came to that other person, wasn't really resistance, I would say. It was more so I was just waiting forever for like that person to make a move, but I kind of just stood waiting because the guy's the one who's meant to pursue. And that alone just like saved me from a whole like train wreck, basically.
And funny enough,
And that was like a year of waiting.
he did. He did pursue you. Like, from when you
Um,
look back at it, he was trying to, like, get a little inching in, but, like, I think it was just you being so submitted to God that it kinda saved you. Like, you kinda like you said, unknowingly walking into victory a lot of times
mhm.
just by you being, like, basically, like, so sunken in with Christ, so locked in that you're not choosing a good thing, you're choosing a God thing now.
And I was like that with everybody. Cause I'm like, again, I don't think he would have got his foot in the door unless I didn't believe, like, this could have came from the Lord.
Mhm.
Cause even was like, bang.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Well,
yeah, for the most part, I think that pretty much wraps up the podcast. We definitely will have more coming out on more topics that the Holy Spirit leads us to. I hope this message bless you. It's gonna be a lot of editing from me. Um, please stay submitted. That's the moral of the story we want to say is like stay submitted to Christ, men and women. And above all, we want to continue to pray for you and ask that, you know, you be submitted to Christ and be patient. Like patience is really big in Christianity. So you got to really stick with it. Beyond that, what I will say is that uh we want to add a segment later on where we are able to break down some people's inquiries about things like especially relationships. So once we get emails and things like that set up, hopefully that'll be a good segment with my host Tatiana. And besides that, that's what we leave you with, guys. So appreciate you for tuning in. It's goodbye from both of us, and
bye.
stay blessed from above.